Hey YouTube, it's Tamara Rose Blodgett here, the not cheating carnivore anymore. You guys, I'm so excited to tell you that I'm at the beginning of a formula I think will work, and it's not an uncommon one, but I've been really resisting the change because I was of the camp that felt like I could get away with stuff and just do a cheat day once in a while. But because of where my Hashimoto's numbers are at, I just decided that I would go lion diet for the most part. Now, some naysayers or people that are very particular might take exception to me using the term lion diet, but right now that's just something I've kind of fallen into. I didn't mean to do lion diet, but carnivore might not be good enough for my situation. I had no idea there was such a problem. I am reintroducing eggs on Saturday because I'll be going and staying at my friend's house, overnight with Hubs, and he's real good friends with she and her husband as well. And she said, hey, what about bacon and eggs on Saturday morning? And I said, okay. So we already know that I experimented with cream last week and that didn't work out. It was okay. I gained 0.4 from that experiment, and I had bloat and abdominal cramping, which tells me that the cream was a problem. And I didn't have a ton, but I had enough to know that I had it. So for the meantime, even though cream is carnivore, it's out. And what else happened? I'm on day, let me see, I began August 5th, and today is September 5th. I took my before and after photos, the 1 month, and I will take every 5th of every month until I get to the November 5th cutoff of the elimination diet protocol. I will then find out if that's what I'm going to do. Hold on. So I've been on the elimination protocol for a month and been very strict except for one day, and I'll talk about that. Before that, I was strictly carnivore, but I was doing a cheat day, for my birthday or very important things, and I don't know that I'll be doing that anymore. I hate to say it. I know it sounds so purist and silly, but I'm going to get to two things. First, I want to talk about my cheat day. Hubs and I always take a day off where we have what Jordan Peterson would call at least 90 minutes of intimate time once a week, preferably twice a week. And we were doing that without his prompting or his coaching, but it was interesting to hear somebody I really respect, Jordan Peterson, a famous psychologist from Canada, though I believe he lives in the United States now, touch on that. And so every week, Hubs and I take the entire day from like noon to 10 o'clock at night, and it's an in-the-house day date that goes into the night. And we do all the things that you would think a date would be. And it's super exciting and really fun and all that stuff. And I always want to have a little something different off the diet. So about 10 days ago, I had ranch dressing with pork skins, chicharrones. And I had, which is fine, that's carnivore. And then I had 1 pint, I know it seems like a lot, but I'll explain that later, of the triple chocolate Rebel ice cream. Okay, I want to talk about that. That left me with a flare-up of ear eczema that only adult would not be able to see was a reaction. Within 48 hours, I had ear eczema in my, what I consider to be my bad ear, which always is more affected than this ear. It was awful, and it's just now, 10 days later, calming down. This is like the 11th or 12th day. And I remember from prior flare-ups that it would be 2 weeks before it was completely gone. So I have to assume, though I don't know, because that's the beauty of the elimination diet. You introduce one thing, and then you know that that one thing is a problem, okay? You don't know for certain if you have 4 or 5 different things, and I did. I had pork rinds, which usually aren't an issue that I've found. I had sour cream and cream together in the ranch dressing. Either one of those, but one for sure could have been problematic. And then I had all the cream base from the Rebel ice cream in addition to chocolate. It was as though I had poisoned myself. And that was only 3 weeks into an elimination diet, guys. So that was powerful. Now, I gave up eggs August 19th because I just wasn't happy with my results. I thought, the last time I did the steak challenge back in September of 21, which is it's exactly 3 years ago that I did that. I didn't have eggs and I didn't have cream, and I lost 4.8 pounds, and I was 20 pounds less than when I began this. And I just wasn't having the same results. And I was finding myself to be not feeling perfectly inside and not losing weight quickly and still feeling inflamed. Now, obviously I was worse off because I weighed so much more and stuff, but I didn't like any of that. So that one that one Sunday that I took off with Hubs told me that nothing I ate was worth dealing with ear eczema for 2 weeks or gaining the 3 pounds back. Because I had struggled to get down to like a 5-pound weight loss at that stage 3 weeks in, and then to gain back 3 pounds was debilitating. So instead of freaking out and just saying the heck with it and throwing up my hands going, I'm done, I can't do this anymore, it's too difficult, I'm not getting fast enough results, I really decided to believe in the science, which I know very well. I know very well what the science is. So I was like, no, I had that 1 month where I did really well. And then I thought to myself, I didn't really do well until about week 3.5. At the 4-week mark was when I noticed this kind of like big metabolic gear started to shift. And I started losing weight and being able to eat more, but it had to be the right kind of more, guys. Because I believe in my heart that dairy stalls. I also believe that dairy is a problem for most people on some level. Now, I'm down to, that's why I hesitate to use Lion Diet. I will in this title because I think it's very true of where I'm at right now this week, and it's where I've had the most success. So I have to just go ahead and use it. But because of my Hashimoto's, which is autoimmune based, I must have a certain degree of fat, I feel better. And supposedly from the science, which I think is very sound, hormones are healed by fat. And that makes sense. That tracks, right? Anyhow, so this week I've been basically having, hang on to your shorts, 2 tablespoons of butter and 2 cups of coffee if I have them. But I am trying to get down to 1. And I'll go back around for that soon. And then between 10 and noon, I'm quite hungry for something. And so when I have the highest hunger signal is in the morning. I don't know why. I always have my whole life. I've always felt more hungry before 2 in the afternoon. So I have a ribeye steak. And I can put away between 14 and 18 ounces pretty decently. And then I have a sudden feeling of I cannot have one more bite. This doesn't taste good anymore. I don't want it. And it is such an obvious signal. It's like someone took a 2x4 and hit me between the eyes. And I thought that was crap. But when you're eating a proper human diet, and I'm going to use that catchphrase because it's so true, when you're eating as you are meant to eat, there are things in place, satiety hormones, that are very specifically suited to what we're meant to eat. And that's fat and protein. If you're having, that's why they call it the dessert stomach, guys. If you can have a dessert after you've had just a steak, it's because you're not getting the hormone to tell you, wait, hang on, I'm full now. I don't need any more food, right? So that's what the steak thing is about, guys. I'm kind of hot. I'm not going to lie. We're going to get up to like 85 today. Okay? I'm just dying. Anyway, so that's what I was noticing was happening. And that was lovely because just about the time I was done having steak, I'd be kind of shaking out about 16 ounces. And then later on, about 4 or 5, I would start to get hungry again, and I would just have a couple of hamburger patties, all right? Because I'd given up eggs, or I'd have some leftover patty, or I would make myself up a little bit of ground beef and have it in a bowl, maybe 1 cup, maybe 3/4 cup, maybe half. Sometimes I was hardly at all hungry, and I just had a couple pieces of bacon, maybe 3, and that'd be all I'd have. So I was just being opportunistic. You know, if it was ready in the fridge, I was ready to have it. I'm so hot right now, you guys. I don't know what's happening here. I'm so glad I wore a summer dress because we're having Indian summer. I'll just, you know what I'll do? I'll just fan myself with this instruction thing for the microphone I haven't figured out yet. Okay, and then I want to also just go off on a little bit of a tangent now. My weight loss started before I started the HRTs, and I want to be totally honest with you guys because I don't know any carnivores that are postmenopausal that aren't on HRTs. And I'm going to use them until they run out at about 90 days, and that's when I figure my antibodies for my Hashimoto's might be responding well to what I'm finally doing. So I'm going to go to 90 days just with beef, I think, and the occasional piece of bacon, and then whatever butter adds a little fat to my diet because I think I need it. But I have enough fat on my body for my body to use that too, but it needs to also receive fat so it doesn't go into like a stall or a homeostasis freak out or whatever. So the formula I want to give you right now that's working for me is, and I'll put a screenshot up here of like what my normal thing is now, my newest normal. And I started doing it because I was having these eggs in the morning and it wasn't holding me. I'd have like 5 scrambled eggs in the morning, and then I'd have this big dinner, you know, of beef or whatever we were having that was carnivore at night, and I just wasn't losing well. But I found when I changed to having the biggest meal in the morning and then a kind of a small something later on, I did much better. And I don't know what's going to be the problem. Like today, Mom and I are going to go out and I'm going to have their 2 6-ounce beef patties at this restaurant we really like. And I'm going to have a blue cheese dressing drizzled over the top and blue cheese crumbles. That has not bothered me. And I'll tell you why I think it hasn't, just because blue cheese is basically mold. And fermented products are really good for us because we evolved to eat them. And I think our acidity in our stomach is second only to vultures. So the human biome and the gut and the stomach, we're meant to have very toxic, caustic foods. We can eat things that are partially spoiled. We had to get by and evolve to get by with very strange foods, but the ones that are best are the big ruminant animals. They're animals that have 4 stomachs, and one of the stomach is called a rumen. And the rumen stomach is what ferments the things that we shouldn't be eating, so that when we kill the animal, it's already processed it in a very clean, non-toxic way for humans. And it makes sense that our species survives and it lives here based on what we eat and what is available to eat. We would not have been able to get to this point unless we had had the proper food. And protein and fats are the proper food. And I'm talking animal fats that can be easily digested and we're meant to have. They're bioavailable and all those things. Not canola oil, guys. Not Crisco. All that stuff's bad. Okay? So I have lost 7.2 pounds in exactly 1 month. And since I started the steak in the morning protocol and the little bit at night, a little bit of beef or whatever's left over, I probably have a couple bacon strips a couple times a week now because I don't have any beef made up. But like yesterday, I had a 14-ounce ribeye at 9, and then at 3, I had another 14-ounce ribeye, and I lost a pound yesterday. And I had, I think, 2 tablespoons of fat. So I want to talk about the ratio a little bit. So today I was 171 and a half, and I'm 5'10". So I should weigh, and I did weigh 150. That's kind of just a basic weight for me. That's quite good. It's where, you know, when I was under 18, when I was done growing, I would weigh between 145 and 150. When I ran in cross country, I couldn't maintain that weight, and I weighed around 138, 140, and I was very thin. Just because for what I ate, I didn't, you know, I didn't get enough input. But I'm under the supposition that if you have to work out to maintain your weight, you're eating the wrong diet. And yesterday I sat around on my literal butt watching movies and hanging out with hubs all day long. And I had 2 steaks and I dropped a pound. It had nothing to do with me walking. In addition to that, I've had no carbohydrate of any kind, except that one dairy thing, which wouldn't have still been very much. Maybe I would have had 20 carbs that day. So I'm in full ketone burning mode. I am in ketosis all the time. There's nothing that can dump me out of it because I'm just eating beef, okay? And I am having the butter for the fat. Now I have decided that I would like to get coffee out of my diet 100% and just kind of add that to the elimination protocol. When I go out with Mom, you know, I'm having the blue cheese on my burgers and I'm having like a Diet Coke. But otherwise, I've transitioned from no diet anything either. I've been real careful there, but I do enjoy it as a treat. So I'm doing that. But for the most part, I'm not doing that anymore either. So I'm down to LaCroix or Waterloo sparkling water, 1 or 2 cups of coffee a day. I use my little frother. I'll put it down below for the coffee so I can have a buttercino rather than this butter kind of melting at the top grossness. But I'm trying to get rid of that. So what I'll do is I'll probably add those 4 tablespoons back in when I eat the ribeye. I'll have a little piece of cold butter with each bite, and I'll get my fat in that way, and that's fine. Because if I don't do that, what I've found is that my fat to lean ratio, or my lean to fat ratio, isn't very good. Like I have 60% fat, and then 40% lean, and it should be more like 65 plus fat. But I find that I'm losing weight better at 65% fat or higher. Now, yesterday I had 60% fat, and I had a little bit of a headache riding me from about 1 on, and I think it was because my body needed more fat. And I don't want any feeling of malaise, and I don't want any feeling of starvation or hunger. I am on purpose. I was sure that we were not meant to be heavy, that we were not meant to starve, that as human beings we're meant, there was a food here that we could have that was the perfect food for us to nourish our bodies and help us heal and grow and survive and thrive and be the weight that we were meant to be, whatever that is, without a bunch of scientific degrees or a bunch of trackers. Now, I am tracking because I want you guys to have data from me. And what's really exciting for any of you young people that are watching is that if, as somebody that's 57 that's been in menopause for a couple of years can do this, then anyone can. Now, I have a couple caveats. One is my thyroid was totally out of control. It was super messed up. My antibodies right now, to signify that I have Hashimoto's, are in the 800 region. They should be under 100 to be in remission, technically. And my thyroid TSH was at 20. Now it's been hormonally corrected down to like 2, okay, which is where I should be. I feel night and day better, okay, night and day. But the naturopath doctor, and I agreed with her, and I already had that protocol. She had asked me when I first visited her, are you on an elimination diet? And I said, I'm going to be going on one on the 15th of July. And she said, okay. She goes, I want 90 days. She goes, when you get your groove, in other words, when I wasn't still sort of having a few things in there I shouldn't have had, like cream and stuff, she says, then count from then. So that was August 5th. So I've got 2 more months technically on just having pretty much beef and whatever little thing each week I want to insert. And this week's going to be eggs. I'm re-putting those in and see if those are okay. Because I would love to ideally have like a steak in the morning and then eggs, scrambled eggs or something for my supper. And that's kind of all I want, guys. I don't really want any other foods because I feel good. I'm looking better. I don't have that joint stiffness and soreness as much. And it's kind of like 75% better. And I can't say if that's the hot thyroid, though I think much of it is, but the diet works in harmony with the thyroid hormone. And I'll be taking that until I see my antibiotics or my antibody number, my antibody number lower to under 100. And then I'll start weaning myself off the hormone because I'll then know my thyroid, I don't want it to atrophy and get lazy. I want it to do its job. And I'll wean myself off that hormone and my body will start picking up what it needs to. And I'm also interested in just seeing, you know, what it is I can eat if I wanted to without recourse. Right now, it seems like there's nothing. I had pork belly a couple times since August 5th, and my stomach got a little sick. I got a little sick to my stomach. Some nausea. I don't know if that was from the fat. I don't think so, because I'm really used to having a lot of fat, like 200 grams plus every day, so that didn't make a lot of sense to me. So pork's kind of out right now, I think, a lot of it. And chicken didn't bother me, but I didn't feel as well, and I don't know why that is. Chicken and pork are trash animals pretty much. They don't have the multi-stomach profile, so they can't filter what would be toxic for us to eat straight. So they're a more toxic meal for us if you look at it that way. Are they toxic? Not really, but unless you can get, you know, like so many carnivores talk about, pastured pigs, pastured chicken, you're really looking at a scale of not so great. Eggs are almost a perfect food. So I do spend the extra money and get the pastured eggs. I'm hoping to get back on eggs because it's just super nice for me to have the beef in the morning and the eggs later on at night. But we'll see if it stalls. If I lose better, you know, because I'm already healing, I can feel that. So if I lose weight better by having more calories, more fat, more protein by having just beef than if I have beef and eggs, I'll stick with that for a while and then try eggs again. But eggs have to help me, and eggs have some things that beef don't. Biotin, for instance, eggs have a lot of biotin in them. I want to make sure I get that because that's something I'm terribly low in, which is B7. And it's not found in any great proportion in beef, but it is found in eggs. So between the beef and the eggs and some butter, I just don't think I can go wrong. But right now I'm Lion, and I'm Lion with the caveat of 1 day a week I put in something new like eggs, or I'm just taking cream out for now, guys, you know, and then maybe I'll try to have avocado. I have a short list of things I'd like to reintroduce and just see what happens, if anything. So I'm very excited about it. And so far the formula is have at least 65% fat, with the remainder being lean, you know, protein. And because I got too hungry at under 65, and have a bigger meal before noon. Let me see what else. Prioritize beef. This is what doctors use when they want to do an elimination diet, because they know that no one's allergic to meat, except some of those rare few that might have, you know, Lyme disease or something like that that's caused it. But, you know, 99.99% of the human population can have meat without recourse, especially ruminant meat. Those animals that have the 4 stomachs, they have the hooves, they have certain dynamics that are identifiable. You know, that'd be bison, buffalo, deer, elk, moose, sheep, lamb, beef. Those are the animals that have the least toxic profile, and they're the very best for us. So I would encourage you to do that. I have to have at least, it seems, 23 or 400 calories if I'm eating this way. I have a healthy appetite, and it stops the minute I'm full. It's very interesting. I love it. I don't know where I'll be, but catch up with me on my shorts. I am doing 2 a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays now. I have it put into my phone so I won't forget, and I'm just kind of telling you guys how it's going and how I'm feeling and everything. I have a little sorrow because I can't have what I want to eat, and I have to eat a very narrow way to preserve myself. But I think in a few months I'll feel less sorrow for having to give things up that gave me some joy. And maybe there's some things I'm addicted to. I kind of doubt it, but I'm not sure. And then I just want to be really transparent. On my Sundays off with Hubs, we usually do gummies, and I'll do 2, and that's worth 6 carbs. And I like it better than alcohol. Because alcohol makes me just feel gross right now. I don't even want it. My body gives it a hard pass every time I try. It says, no, I don't want that. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. That's been very interesting. Body does a big, huge hard no on that. But the gummies, okay. And it sometimes makes me feel a little hungry. So what I do with those, and by the way, that substance is legal here in Washington State, so I'm not doing anything wrong. But it does make me a little hungrier sometimes, depending on stuff. And so I had my steak yesterday at about 10, and then I did another one with it, and then I had that one later at 3. So no, it was 9 and 3. And so when I started to get hungry and kind of have that munchy thing, I just had the steak, and I was okay. I had a huge yearning for about 5 minutes to have a big bowl of the whipped cream that I like with a little cinnamon on top, and I resisted. And I'm so glad I did, because I don't want to set myself back at all. I have my short list of what I want to reintroduce, and it's important things like maybe a little bit of cheese on my scrambled eggs. And I'm talking about 2 tablespoons, guys, like a condiment. And maybe I want to just get eggs back in. I'm really hoping they're going to come back in. But anyhow, so, and then I'll talk about HRTs, but that'll be a different video. Right now I'm on the lowest dose of both things, progesterone and estrogen, that I can take. I've noticed a little bit of difference, but mainly it's in my skin. I'm sure you guys can see. It's softer, it's more supple. The topography there's no more dryness to it anymore, but it was improving on thyroid, but it didn't improve to this degree until I started doing the HRTs about 10 days ago. So I don't know, could I have lost weight without the HRTs involvement? I can't say for sure, but I was already trending down. But I think this has helped. I think that estrogen in my system has helped, and I don't know if I'll stay on it or not. We'll see how my antibody test goes in November. So that's the big thing for me. Anyway, subscribe, you guys, and comment below and tell me what you think about me doing the Lion diet, and tell me if you think 7.2 pounds is really good for a month. I was feeling like it really was, and it's all fat loss, guys. every bit of it because I'm only burning ketones. So I didn't lose muscle mass or water or any of that stuff. I might have lost some inflammation weight. I will say that. We'll see what the next month brings. Anyway, I'm so excited. It's a little bit of a trial, but not as bad as I thought it would be.